Welcome to Dish Shelved with Adam White. This is the inaugural edition of the Tim Truman Show. I've decided I'm going to go through most of his works over the years and talk about them. I've always liked Tim Truman a lot. I've been collecting him since the 80s. And I'll get to what I have in the title towards the end of this video, but right now I want to talk about Scout. Scout debuted in 1985, and this is the very first issue of it, which introduces Scout. He's an Apache that was sent through a U.S. military training program, and he got away from them, and so now he just kind of wanders and just kind of does whatever needs done and helping people out. And what happens is in the first story arc, this one and this one are volume 1 and 2 of Scout, that are the collected editions that Dynamite put out. The first one has 1 through 7, and the second one has 8 through 16. And the first story arc, Scout gets helped out by what's called a Gon. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And that's a little chipmunk that's an Indian spirit guide, and tells him that he needs to kill the 4 monsters of Apache lore that have become human and are trying to take over the planet. And so that's what the first story arc is. And he just has just amazing artwork, and the story's fantastic. And I know in interviews with Tim Truman that he says, "Oh, I don't like to look back at my older stuff because I just can't stand looking at it." But it's fantastic. I mean, the storytelling in it is fantastic. Your eyes really move across the page when you read them, and his writing is fantastic too. Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather, but he just does such a great job, and the story in it is fantastic. Especially one of the main monsters he has to get, who that monster is and turns out to be, is really interesting. And anyway, it came out originally in 1985 and ran for 24 issues. And in 2000, I believe 2006 maybe, Dynamite brought out this first collection. There is an earlier collected edition of the first 7 called Scout the 4 Monsters. I have it too. I forgot to get it out. And it collects the first 7 issues just like this does. So between the two of them, you might come up with them on eBay or something. They're not in print at the moment. But the first story arc was Dynamite. You really get a sense of him being an Apache warrior. Tim Truman talked about in some interviews that I had, he goes to an indigenous Comic Con where it's all indigenous Americans. And he said that the greatest compliment he ever got was that people couldn't believe that this wasn't written by and drawn by a non-indigenous person. So they said he did a really good job with Scout, and he was really proud of that, and he should be, because it's a fantastic book. Now in the second story arc, he gets involved in more shenanigans. He ends, well, if I can find a page that's got something, there we go. But he he finishes up his quest with the four monsters, and in this one he uh, gets back in contact with Rosa Winters, she was a member of the military training camp he was at, and kind of his lover at the time. And they reconnect, and she's on opposite side because she works for the government. And so there's a lot of that between the two of them. And they get into war on a more national scale uh, that involves the Israelis, and the Israelis have like Gundam suits. And I forgot to mention, it's a post-apocalyptic America that takes place in 1999, which in 1985 was, quite a ways away. And everything has just been, crops don't grow. America's become a third world country. Um, and it's just really hard to survive. The government's corrupt. Uh, and really, it was prescient in a lot of ways for a lot of the problems we have and are going to have. So it could be a very real look at our future, which is a shame because it would be bad to get like this. Um, but he also meets up with this guy called Monday, who kind of takes over a lot of the program, but uh, he deals with a rock band too that he helps out some, and because Tim Truman's really into music and plays in a band. And anyway, great continuation of the story. Like I said, the volume 2 I think you can still get on Amazon. They still have some, I think. But you definitely want to read it from the beginning. I've got issues, but it was easier to read it in collected editions. But I did want to finish it, so I read all 24, and I showed you this one. This is the first issue that introduces them. Now I want to show you, I read the rest of them in issues. So this was number 17, number 18, number 19, which is interesting because it comes with a flexi disc that's like a mini record. Because of course vinyl's what was used at the time to play music. It was before really cassette tapes were big, but it has a vinyl, and I don't want to make it near mint condition to take the album out to play it, but I might have to get another copy of this issue and play it out. But it was a really interesting thing because there's a place in the comic that you play the music, and it is to the comic. It follows along what the music is saying. Number 20 works with the guy Bo LeDuc, who's reminds me of Bo Smith. That's a comic writer who he probably knows because they're both from West Virginia. Number 21, War. Number 22, great cover. Number 23, another great cover. And 24, that's Scout and Monday. And these deal with war on the global scale. And really, everything hits the fan in these. And all the world powers it's basically the start of World War III. and they have to figure a way out of it. And Scout, of course, is just a lone man, but he's teamed up with Monday and the people he's associated with, and there's people in the government working against him. There's people in other governments working against him. They really are just in big trouble. And it's interesting to see how they get out of it, if they do. I won't say. But it was a great continuation of the story. The only quibble I have with the last set, I wish Dynamite would have went ahead and put out a third trade that collected the rest of these, because they deserve to be collected, but they didn't. So I don't know if it just the sales weren't what they wanted or what. I mean, there was good enough to put 2 out, but I don't know why they couldn't have just done a volume 3. Just makes it easier to read. But like I said, I've got the issues, so I went through them, and the only quibble I have is that in the last third of Scout for the first run, uh, Scout became kind of a secondary character. He wasn't in it as much as, say, Monday in several of the issues, and it just took up with a lot of other characters, and there was a lot of stuff going on. And it made sense, but I just wish Scout would have been in it more. I mean, he's in it. He just is one of many players, and the earlier issues focused more on him, and I would have liked the focus to continue to be on him, but he still ends up being part of the solution at the end. So it was great, but a lot of fun, fantastic writing and art. Um, just fantastic. I really can't recommend it enough. Even if you have to track it down in issues, you can go to mycomicshop.com, or online comic, whatever your preferred online comic store is. They're fairly easy to get. Um, eBay, stuff like that. They were produced by Eclipse Comics back in the 80s. But anyway, that's all I'll say about that. But I also want to say that the story continues in Scout War Shaman. There's 16 issues of that. I'll do that separately. It takes place, I think, 15 years after the end of this run of 24. And so I'll do that at some future point and talk about those. But I want to address what the title of this was, which is "Where in the World is Timothy Truman?" Uh, he had been doing a Kickstarter back in 2019 for a new Scout, a new graphic novel, and he got it funded, and he posted constantly on his website and on the Kickstarter page, and showed a lot of the material he was working on. And I mean, it was fantastic. I couldn't believe how awesome this was. I pre-ordered my copy from his website, and everything he posted was just the best work he's ever done. And all his art is really good, and his writing too. And he was doing this one with his son, who's a writer, and it just looked like, I can't wait to see this thing. However, that was 2019, and in 2024, in January, he posted to his Kickstarter page another page that he showed, which was outstanding. And then after that, there's been internet silence. And I don't know what happened, because, the project is like 5 years overdue or more. And I don't know what happened to it. And it's not the fact that I pre ordered it. That's beside the point. I just really wanted new work from Tim Truman. because it looked really awesome, and I always loved Scout. And so I hope it is going to come out at some point, but I can't find anything about him, interviews or no, there's been no news updates on his website, no updates on his Kickstarter for like almost, a year and a half to a year and 3/4 now. It's October now, and I don't know what happened to him. Um, I did. I tried to email him, but I never got anything back. And usually he's pretty good to email, but I emailed a collaborator of his. I won't say who, but just because I did it privately and was like, I just said, do you know, is Tim Truman okay? Because I was afraid maybe something had happened. And this collaborator of his actually emailed me back very generously and said that he is okay. So that was good news because I was afraid something had happened or he got sick or something maybe. But I don't know. I hope he and his family are doing fine. I hope we still get this new Scout Marauder because it looks absolutely fantastic. And so, if anybody out there knows anything about the current status of that or of Tim Truman, uh, and you're watching this, post it in the comments. I'd really like to know because Tim Truman's a fantastic creator, and I'd really like to see Scout Marauder, but I just mainly want to know that he and his family are doing well because there's just been internet silence from them. But anyway, I'll leave it at that. I hope you pick up Scout because it is definitely worth reading. It's fantastic. It was some of the first independent comics during the 80s that were really good. And I hope that you will check out Scout. Like I said, you can get these two Dynamite editions, Volume 1 and 2, but the rest you'll have to get in issues if you want to read it, which you should. So check those out, and thank you for hanging out with me, and I will catch you next time.